Alrighty, folks, welcome back to a brand new video where I'm obviously in Mexico, ironically enough, when I'm uploading this. So while I'm gone, I did want to have some pre-recorded content for y'all, keep y'all satiated. So we do have this guy called Captain Gold. This guy was making zombie videos about The Walking Dead and has a lot of good commentary on specifically just that. But when it comes to politics, the guy's like if Bill Maher had an aneurysm. Okay, this guy is one of these smug Reddit atheists, and apparently he has a video called "Mass Deportation is Stupid." Now, this seems like a very much a layup for me, and so let's just try to debunk what he says, and I haven't even seen it yet, so let's get right into it.
As of now, the Trump administration has swiftly enacted aggressive immigration policies, aiming to fulfill his long-standing promise to deport all undocumented immigrants. Within weeks, his administration has expanded detention facilities, reinstated a national border emergency, and empowered federal agencies to intensify deportation efforts. While achieving total deportation still remains as improbable as getting Mexico to pay for the border wall, these unprecedented measures could bring the administration closer than ever to realizing this controversial objective. Which means where Trump failed in his first term, he might just finally succeed in his second. Or at least come very damn close to it. Be that as it may.
Is he trying to be
I really wanna
sarcastic? Is he trying to land blows at Trump? You didn't get the wall done the first term. Which, okay, fair enough. But then again, like if you were following what happened, whether it be budget reconciliation, all the votes, all these sticklers, John McCain, the types that wouldn't vote for the wall. I mean, it's pretty obvious that it wasn't really his fault that it didn't work. But
spend some time talking about why mass deportation is a fantastically stupid idea. And then, once I systematically deconstruct the idiocy of mass deportation,
you see the way the guy talks, by the way, it's super condescending.
I will offer the only realistic solution to the
This is the way the guy sees himself.
alleged problem of undocumented immigrants. So, with that being said, let's begin with the inherent stupidity of mass deportation as an immigration policy.
Pejorative.
According to the Office of Homeland Security Statistics, there are roughly 10.9 million undocumented immigrants in the United States as of 2022. Assuming that the OHSS's estimate is reasonably accurate, and has remained totally stagnant since 2022, we can then start to ponder what it would actually mean for the economy if the Trump administration removed 10.9 million incomes from the economy. Now, this may come as a shock to you, but these undocumented persons are workers, they are consumers, and some are even business owners. All of them, in some way, are taxpayers as well. Undocumented immigrants pay sales taxes, excise taxes, utility taxes, and
so do the homeless, actually, the sales tax. Whoa. Let me add in a caveat. When it comes to deporting 10 million people, if you didn't know, about 70 years ago, Operation, I can't say the name, but basically, President Eisenhower, Trump mentions this a lot, had the largest deportation up until that point, where he deported upwards of 1 million people in a country that was a fraction of the size of what it is now. And so it'd be, let's say, proportional to deporting 3 million people. The economy did great in the 50s, and so maybe he doesn't have much of a point, but
many own properties and, as such, pay property taxes.
do they own properties? Do you think illegals own properties? But come on.
If they rent, they pay property taxes indirectly. And if they earn an income, most will not be paid under the table. Hence, most help to fund payroll or FICA taxes, thus contributing
How is that even possible without them getting deported, by the way? That's ridiculous.
to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Benefits they cannot receive but still contribute to.
Good.
This is possible.
You know, immigrants, like if you look at the Cuomo family, Italian immigrants in the 1800s, they didn't get the benefit of property, or rather of healthcare or any other subsidy, welfare, rather. And these people did great. And the thing with me is not so much that people shouldn't come to America, it's that they do benefit too much from being here, whether it be by tapping into the Social Security well or otherwise benefiting in those ways with things that are depleting, as in the Medicaid reserves and all these sort of things. And I will tell you that even though illegals don't benefit from it directly, when they do have kids, anchor babies, they benefit. And they don't contribute proportionately to the existing population if you were to average it all out economically.
Due in part to the fact that citizenship is not required for a person to receive a TIN or tax identification number. If they own
Well, that's ridiculous.
a business, they certainly pay business-related taxes as well.
I like how the stock footage he's using as fake dollar bills.
And if they invest in the stock market or other financial assets, they're definitely paying capital gains taxes.
What illegal alien pays capital gains tax? What illegal alien is speculating on the Dow, bro?
So, given all of this information, it would
Stock
be fairly
exchange, rather.
objective to state that deporting these people will lead to a fall in government tax revenues. The endeavor
Hardly.
itself
Okay, number one, you're not looking at the other end of how much they deplete the federal resources. Rather, you're only looking at what they put in theory. Now, that's really stupid on multiple fronts. Now, just to tackle the most obvious, illegals, if you look at it, because I looked into it in high school, illegal aliens basically deteriorate the country upwards of about 170 billion a year. I think this was by Borjas, some researcher back then. But anyway, there's depletion of roads, there's traffic, there's usage of infrastructure that doesn't really get tallied up mathematically. Obviously, if you're having another 10 million people use the same resources that are allotted for a community that doesn't count illegals, then clearly there's going to be an overuse of resources, just logically. That hasn't occurred to this guy before, probably. Also, beside that, you're also looking at a perspective of which is not accounting for the kids of illegals. They take more than the kids of citizens. So therefore, they are depleting the system even if the illegal themselves are not benefiting. I've already made this point a few minutes ago. Makes sense, right? And so illegals put in a very minute amount of taxes into the system and take out untold billions of dollars in ways that people don't really account for, especially in places like California, where you have Medi-Cal or whatever, and you have free insurance for a lot of people that are illegal, but then also emergency room healthcare and all this sort of thing that gets exploited. And if you walk into a hospital in California, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Isn't cheap either, as it will cost a shit ton of taxpayer dollars to displace this many people.
No
It will
way.
also lead to less consumers being present in our economy, hence leading to less demand for businesses in the most heavily affected markets.
So I mean, we will see Ross and Marshalls, TJ Maxx. They might have to suffer. Okay, I'll concede you that.
This reduced demand can certainly lead to job losses. Less workers also means labor shortages, which can cause prices to increase, as suppliers who are reliant on
I like how he makes these points that are logical, and by logical I mean like they kind of make sense if you're not like locked in like I am, like always. But I mean it's pretty clear that you're not giving figures as to what the numbers would be that would change. Like for instance, if you said illegals are estimated to be 40% of the construction employment force or whatever, well the construction workers having this sort of lack of workers will make it to where the cost of employment for these people that own the construction companies will go up by, let's say, 25%, and therefore prices for homes will go up by 3%. See, you could make that point, but you didn't. Why not? I mean, that's something I just gave you.
undocumented laborers will struggle to meet consumer demand. Some industries that would be affected by labor shortages as a result of mass deportation are agriculture, construction, manufacturing, and even hospitality and retail. And any undocumented immigrant who owns a business, but is then deported, is likely to lose their business. Hence, our economy would be losing a supplier and the jobs said supplier provided.
What businesses do illegals have, realistically? Okay, I mean, it's
Then there's the
landscaping.
obvious civil unrest that will ensue as families with mixed residency or citizenship statuses are ripped apart. Long story short,
They can go with them. That's what Trump said. That's what Tom Homan said. You're separating families. No, no, you can go together.
removing 10.9 million people who are already a part of our economy is not very smart. Obviously, you should remove the violent ones, but most aren't.
But why? But why actually? Because they contribute to taxes. You see, they have taxes and they have family here. So why not? Why not actually? Why not? No, in fact, Captain Gold, why not have an illegal alien who has a DUI who swears to God that he'll ride a bike for the rest of his life? Why not? Why not? He's a construction worker. He contributes. He has family here. Why not? Oh, he commits a crime. That's BS. That's a cop out. Oh, we should get rid of the crime. Yeah, obviously. Yes, obviously. It's like if I confronted an alcoholic and I said, "Hey, dude, you're embarrassing us at the office function. You're embarrassing me at Christmas." And then he says, "Okay, I'll drink every single day, but not in public." It's like, okay, yeah, sure. The violent ones, yes. When you have these outbursts in public, it's a bad look. We agree on that. But get to the root of the issue. There's just the perpetuance of this being a thing is a problem in and of itself. So with the alcoholic, you don't say, well, only these stipulations are where I'm going to boss you around with. No, all of it. All afuera, come on. Really, just the criminal ones.
Violent. Most aren't rapists or drug dealers. Hell, according to the data, you are probabilistically more likely to be safe in a community of undocumented immigrants than you are being in a community of American citizens.
That is so absurdly stupid. It's not even. Oh my fuck.
The facts are actually
Okay. I thought this talking point specifically was debunked in 2015. Okay, listen. The reason why illegal aliens have lesser crime incidences or reporting of crime as compared to normal people is because they don't report crimes against each other. Hence, why they don't get the cops involved because they don't want to get deported. Have you not had an anecdote where your friend or even you got in a car accident with an illegal, and even if you were in the wrong, the illegal drives away if they can or runs away because they don't want to talk to the cops because they don't have papers, obviously, or insurance. And so my point being, clearly, is that these illegals do commit more crime. Just obviously, they're poorer than the average American. They have more of a reason to commit crime. They're affiliated with the cartels at an incidence way higher than Americans. And you're going to tell me with a straight face, not that I can see you, that you're safer around illegal aliens than Americans, which is ridiculous. And you know, you brought up Lincoln Riley. You show the article of Lincoln Riley. Do you think would she, from heaven, would you ask her, hey, would you rather, Lincoln, walk through a white neighborhood in Vermont, or would you rather walk through an illegal neighborhood in Atlanta? Like, can you be serious for a scintilla of a second? Does that make sense to anybody in chat? It doesn't.
actually quite
Embarrassing.
clear here. It's a pretty moronic idea to remove what is essentially the populations of New York City and Los Angeles just because you suffer from xenophobic retardation.
Okay, yeah. So a bald, like 40-year-old white guy. Oh, that's the enemy. Which, if I were bald, I'd be seething too. But the point being is that, xenophobia, what is it xenophobic for? I mean, you could just make a logical point, and I'm not xenophobic. I'm somebody whose family came from Mexico pretty recently. I mean, I'm honestly the kryptonite. I always win these arguments. Let's
In
go.
the greatest display
Suffer, white guy.
of right-wing irony thus far, mass deportation will actually adversely affect the largest Republican states. While California owns the lion's share of undocumented immigrants, the next two largest populations of, quote, illegal immigrants belongs to the states of Texas and Florida.
When you can't quote illegal, it's illegal. Yes. It's like if I said, we should lower the drinking age to 19 instead of 21, and then somebody said that 20-year-old is an underage drinker, and I'm like, in quote underage. It's like, bro, just because it ought to be that way is not the way it is. And so this like stole. Oh my God, this nitpicking is killing me. God damn.
Now, these three states in total account for 47.7% of all undocumented immigrants. And of these states, Florida is likely to be the one damaged the most, as the state relies heavily on hospitality, tourism, retail, construction, and agriculture, all being industries that rely heavily on undocumented workers. As the saying goes, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. But that's not much of a surprise coming from fucking Florida. That being said,
All this Florida hate is so stupid. It's so tacky.
estimates from the Joint Economic
Florida
Committee
is
paint a
awesome,
bleak
but it's humid.
picture for the U.S. economy if Trump can manage to successfully execute his entire mass deportation operation. The nation's GDP is expected to shrink by a potential of 7.4% by 2028, while also
That makes no sense at all. Okay, mathematically, okay, let's make it make sense. Okay, I'm a genius. Come on, let's do it. All right. So, population of America is roughly 350 million. You have a annual GDP projection of falling by 7.4% by 2028. So if you do that as an annualized figure, that is going to be positing that the 10 million people that Captain Gold is saying is in America that is illegal. Okay. So what percentage of America is 10 million? Okay. So let's figure that out first. It's like 2 or 3% ish. Okay, so what Captain Gold is assuming here is that 3% of the country's population, unofficially, if that, would contribute to the economy shrinking by 7.4%, meaning that just logically speaking, an illegal would be in theory 2.5 times more economically important than the average American. Does that make sense to you guys? No, it fucking doesn't. It obviously doesn't make sense. Like Captain Gold, like wake up, I'm 21. How do I figure this out on the fly in like the span of 10 seconds? And you can't figure it out when you're editing a video. Come on.
expected to shrink by a potential of 7.4% by 2028, while also increasing prices in the aforementioned industries by roughly 9.1%.
How is it then, if you're talking about specific industries with an increase of inflation of 9%, however, their portion of the allotted role of any industry that you talk about, like for instance, manufacturing or rather or agriculture or stuff like this, Mexicans and illegals generally make up a bigger swath than 9%. So for the inflation to go up by less than that is showing that the potency of your argument is getting diluted by every little tidbit you add onto it.
Also, please take note that the U.S. annualized GDP shrank by 4.3% as a direct result of the Great Recession of 2008. And yes, this policy is expected to cause plenty of job losses, with roughly 44,000 jobs being lost for every 500,000 immigrants deported.
Well, that kind of runs against the narrative of the economy shrinking by that much, by 7%. If you're saying that an American job is 10 times more potent than an illegal one that gets lost.
Which tallies up to the shocking figure of over 959,000 jobs.
If you deport 11 million people, how the hell are you losing less than 10% of that given figure for the other people? Like, how irrelevant are the illegals' jobs where they only affect less than a tenth of their own, if that makes sense?
Or nearly 1 million. So guess what? You voted to lower egg prices and you're basically getting inflation in specific industries and a potential recession. Good job, you fucking imbeciles.
Okay, not patronizing, not seething, by the way.
Now, believe it or not, the solution to this problem is actually quite obvious. We need a second pathway to citizenship which takes longer than the traditional route and has more fines and requirements than the traditional path. The added fines, requirements, and time cost is obviously to make the traditional path more appealing. Now sure, yes, these people broke the law when they came here illegally, like many of you do routinely on the highway, which, by the way, is more likely to risk people's lives than merely entering a country illegally.
That is so stupid as an argument, okay? First of all, there could be utility in speeding, whereas the utility in the illegals being here is just to serve themselves. And you could say, oh, well, technically the avocado prices go down by 7 cents. Okay, but I'm talking about they don't do it for us. They do it for themselves. And I don't player hate. I don't care. But, I mean, it still hurts the country when they come in, obviously.
Perhaps they should deport you speeding BMW and Mercedes drivers. And don't even get me started on the tiny-dicked pickup truck drivers. That said, these people are
That's such a motif. Oh, people with pickup trucks have smaller I don't know. Maybe they can just afford to have one and you can't.
literally contributing to the economy and to the government's wallet, thus also contributing to many of the entitlements MAGA maggots enjoy and rely on.
MAGA maggots, really?
Really isn't any reason to damage the economy, cause a humanitarian crisis, and needlessly waste taxpayer dollars over being a stupid, inbred racist. And if you're concerned...
Okay. Really? Really? Come on. I said Bill Maher with an aneurysm, but it's really like if Bill Maher had like a pussy hat and was, I don't even know. It's like a eunuch is screeching for help here. What the hell's
about the
going on?
continuing decline of U.S. birth rates, like Elon Musk is, which, by the way, could spell a disaster in the future when it comes to funding entitlement programs like Social Security. One great way to fix programs like Social Security. One great way to fix that problem is via increased immigration. Because believe it or not, you can't force people to procreate. And even if you could, it'd be much harder to do that than to just let some people into our fucking country. All in all,
that doesn't make sense, buddy, because Captain Gold, you have to understand this. Yes, on paper, if you add in, let's say, 1 million Indians that are 30 years old, does that add to the people paying the Social Security tax? Yes, but then who the hell is going to inherit that? They're paying for their own Social Security. What you need, fundamentally, is a family of, let's say, a mom and a dad with, like, let's say, 4 kids. And then those 4 kids, in theory, are paying for the 2 parents and then themselves. It pays off. If you have families where it's less than 2 kids on average, it doesn't work out. And and it's implicit because again we're having this flipped over demographic pyramid. But adding immigrants does not really help in the long term because these immigrants will have their own kids and then they have to pay for their own parents through Social Security. So it basically just aggrandizes the same issue. Besides that, even the people that are in America paying Social Security have been ever since they were, let's say, 16 until they were, let's say, 70. Whereas Mahmoud comes over and he's 30 and then he gets to pay until he's 70. That's about 15 years that we're missing out on FICA payments. Okay, doesn't really make sense, huh? Because now he's getting the same benefits but had to work less. So you see how that doesn't work out. The Social Security only makes sense if you already have cradle-to-grave payments because the thing is already structurally at a deficit to begin with. So he hasn't thought that through clearly. To add on to my point, these kids that they have, immigrants do not have enough kids to really make up for them being on the roll of the Social Security, on the dole rather. Immigrants have a higher birth rate than Americans, surely. While Americans have a fertility rate of less than 2, Mexicans have a fertility rate of what, like 2.1 or something? It's not even great. So, I mean, we're going to end up in the same place. You may delay the bankruptcy of Social Security by a couple more years, but is it really worth it? I'll tell you not. Okay, suffer, grandma. Plus, I won't even get Social Security anyway, no matter what you do. So I could care less.
Deportation is the sort of policy a paste-eating retard would come up with. That's
wow,
right,
thanks.
folks. If you voted for Trump because you support mass deportation, you're literally a world-class moron. And by the way, that's a fucking fact. Anyways, with all of that being said, if you like this sort of content, please like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell as well if you'd like to be notified when I publish a new video. And also remember that you may opine anytime if you feel so inclined down in the comments section. I'm Captain Gold, and I hope to see you in my next Gold Standard video.
Yeah, okay, well, that's ironic. Anyway, so if you do like this sort of content, let me know. Comment down below what you thought. Subscribe to him, honestly. He does make compelling content. It's like bad, but it's compelling, and I do like his zombie coverage. I'm not going to lie. I love The Walking Dead. So anyways, subscribe if you want more content like this. I'm curious what your takeaways were about this, of course. If Captain Gold wants to respond to me, I invite that because I'm a lot smarter than he is. This was impressively... I was honestly taken aback by how easy this was to debunk. So you love to see it. Layups and layups and layups, baby. Let's fucking go. Anyways, ironically enough, I'll say adios. I'll see y'all in the next one.